Welcome, everybody, to the Limitless podcast. Today, we will be going over Christianity and why, in my opinion, why it's the greatest thing you can do in your life. But he has differing opinions, and we're going to kind of talk those out today, and we're going to see.
I don't know about greatest.
Still new at all this, so I don't know everything. I was just having a conversation on my beliefs and what I think and know right now. I was talking to Nick, and him and I were just going back and forth. That's all this is. This is in no way meant to say one way is right or wrong. I am just saying my opinions and my beliefs and what I know to be true right now. So I don't know everything. Don't think I am stating all this as facts. It's the greatest thing you can do for your life. Get the mic closer to you.
Oh shit.
So, I'll let you start on your opinion on why you believe it might not be important, or however you feel about
I
it.
mean, I don't feel it's unimportant.
What are your kind of disagreements with it, or why you don't think like it matters as much as I do?
Well, I mean, there's nothing wrong with following it. I would like to follow. I mean, I don't really follow anything, but I would like to follow some sort of religious regimen that I make for myself because I don't want to follow everything that goes on in other religions, the strict rules and everything. I'm not going to follow all that, but I can choose what I follow and people can get over it.
So, in my opinion, the greatest thing you can do for yourself is follow the word in the Bible. And I don't think there's anything bad that comes out of. I don't think there's anything like not worth following.
Oh, okay. Have you ever been married?
No.
Have you ever had sex?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, so this...
Apparently that wasn't worth following.
No. Okay, well, at the time, it wasn't important to me. We're not... And people do things wrong. And I didn't follow that properly.
He's choking up so bad.
No, I'm not choking up. I've had sex before, and you're not supposed to. But there's lots of things everyone does. Nobody follows it perfectly.
So does that make it? So is it a sin then?
Yeah.
You did that. So you're gonna confess?
I've confessed it already. I was baptized September 17th last year.
What? So that means that you're washed?
No, the whole point of Jesus is he died to make God not care. He took everybody's sins upon himself and died for that. That's what the whole point of the cross.
Okay, but now he's dead. He can't take anybody else's on.
But that's not how that works. That's not how that works.
I mean...
No, at the beginning, when God first created men and women, he hated them, and they were not ever like...
Creator hates his own creation.
He loved them, but he did not like how they acted, and that's where the flood came from, and that's why with Noah's Ark, he was the person who was faithful to him, and he had them build the ark, and he flooded the earth. He killed off everybody. And everybody in the world died, except Noah and his family and his sons and wives and stuff. And then he realized God hated what they were doing, but he loved them, and that outweighed that. So the sin there was nobody can be perfect, and that's just how men are created to evil. Like that's how humanity is. Humans are inherently bad.
That I agree with.
By default, humans are bad.
Humans are pretty bad.
And nobody can be perfect.
No, that's impossible. But
so with doing that wrong, the problem because you can't not do that wrong, and it's more, it's a sin, but it's something that he forgives all sin if you repent for that.
So why suffering? Why do mothers die, or just fathers die, or both parents die, and then, life sucks.
And see, this isn't an answer like I have and nobody can have, but that's not really like, he's not there to make,
It doesn't control everything.
he knows.
Yes.
I have differing opinions than a lot of
So,
Christians, and
what are you praying for? To hope that he'll hear it, or does he always?
he always hears it. He knows what is going to happen, what is happening. There's nothing that can be hidden.
But if there's something bad gonna happen, then why would
He can't, because he has a set destiny, I guess you could say, in the way of I don't think he wants to prevent bad things from happening, because if you look at it in the way of like heaven or hell, I don't believe, in my opinion, that you can go to hell if you truly believe. Because nobody can be perfect. Everyone's gonna sin and do things wrong. So he's not blocking you out for sinning. I think the not blocking out would be not dedicating your life and your faith to him. That would be in the point that you don't go to heaven. But I don't think he will stop like death, and because that's how humans are made.
Yeah.
He made humans mortal. Like in the beginning of the Bible, people lived for thousands of years, and hundreds of years, and he made people mortal so they couldn't live forever. So the sin would eventually stop. Because in Genesis, so their sin would stop once they died.
Oh yeah.
Because in Genesis with like Noah's Ark, he lived like 900 something years.
That's crazy.
He lived 950 years, according to the Bible, and people lived longer than that. But then people like now, the average lifespan is what, like 70,
Yeah.
and that's not due to him, but that's due to a lot of other aspects. But I think the reason he lets things happen is because that either cuts the sin short, like cuts how much, like then you can go to heaven and live a perfect life forever in eternity. And there's a lot of things I do not really understand. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Yeah, it's confusing.
And a lot of this doesn't make sense.
What if God just is a creator that thinks he's better than everybody and is actually like a dick?
What? He is better than everybody.
Yeah, but what if he's like not what we make him out to be?
In what ways?
Just not really as present as you think.
I don't think.
Doesn't care.
But I don't think if you're following Christianity, that's not possible. The Bible directly says how God is.
Yeah.
The Bible is the direct word of God.
But how do you know that?
You can't know for sure. There's nothing that's like positive about anything, except events in the Bible have already been proven. You can't. That's where the faith comes in. You have to just have blind faith.
What if the Bible was just written after those events?
Well, it would have had to have been written after the events. But it was written
true.
by like the Gospels are written by people of exactly what God is telling them to write.
Do you hear God in your head?
I feel God.
So you can.
I don't hear a direct voice.
You can feel His words.
I can feel His will. That's where like the prayer.
But you're saying there is people that can hear Him.
Yeah, I don't know what denomination it is, but like there's a sacred language. It's called speaking in tongues, and it's weird, like to hear. And I've been to a church that had it, and they like burst out in like gibberish, but it's like supposedly God coming through you and speaking through you, but humans can't understand it. I don't know how all that works.
That's
because
insane.
It's odd whenever you like if you're in that the churches that are that denomination, it's a weird experience. But it's like a like I don't know, it's like a very spiritual, like when you hear it, you can feel like I don't know, it feels weird and you can tell like something's happening and you can but you don't understand what they're saying at all. And it's weird. But like I don't know. I think there's a lot that just isn't possible to understand. But that's how life is too.
Yeah.
Do you understand how your brain works?
Fuck no.
Nobody understands how their brain works.
No. It's
Scientists
crazy.
don't know.
They don't really know.
That's another point. I don't believe that could have been created by nothing. Someone had to have perfectly designed that.
A brain?
A brain, people.
Yeah.
They're masterpieces. I don't think anything could have happened from nothing.
Yeah, there's definitely a few people I could name that are masterpieces.
But I don't think back to the like suffering thing. I don't think he really wants to stop that, and I also think he chooses certain people to suffer knowing they're the best for that, because some people have to. There's an opposite side to everything. There's evil and there's good. There's direct opposites and they're equal. So there has to be bad. That's how it goes. That's why there's God and the devil.
Yeah.
And I don't think that. So I think he chooses, and that might be a poor description of that.
What if, like, so this is kind of a theory.
Okay.
So what if, like, God does forgive you for all your sins? That's true, you know, blah, blah, blah. But that's not what matters. What if it's about guilt?
What do you mean?
What if the deciding factor of going to heaven or hell was actually your own guilt and not a choice of someone higher up?
Like your guilt, if you feel guilt about it, that's when you'd go.
If you feel guilt about anything in your life that hasn't been dealt with, and you don't have a clear conscience, then you relive that moment for eternity.
The way it is stated in Christianity is heaven is perfect, nothing can go wrong. You get there, and obviously nobody knows what heaven's like, because you can't live to tell the story. But supposedly, it's perfect. You get to spend the rest of your eternity with God, and nothing goes wrong. But then the opposite of that is hell, with the devil.
Wouldn't your brain get like mushy after a while if everything being perfect? For
You
eternity.
have these weird arguments.
And eternity's a long fucking time. I mean, come on.
Also, we gotta talk louder.
Eternity's a long time, dude. How could you take in an eternity worth of memories and just keep filling
I don't know how that works. Nobody knows how heaven works. That's where the faith
And
comes
all
in.
your
Why would
memories are stored in your brain.
Okay, but
How can you store memories if you don't have a brain?
it's your soul.
How does a soul store
I
anything?
don't know. It's not a scientific thing that you know how it works.
I mean, I don't.
But here's the thing. Why would you rather not go through your
I
life?
feel like I'm presenting solid arguments as somebody.
But that's not something you can give an answer to.
I know.
But there's lots of things you can't
You
give
just have
answers
to accept.
You
it.
have to accept that and have faith that it's going to be
Oh,
good. Because
gosh.
why would you? Do you not think in your mind? Wouldn't you rather there be something after you die? You're not just in the ground forever.
I would way rather there be something.
So why would you not have the faith? If the only way for there to be something after you die is to have faith and give your life to Jesus and believe with full faith, even if you don't know at times. If that was the only way to get there, would you not rather risk that? Because worst case scenario, you have the faith your whole life. Worst case scenario, nothing happens and you're back in the same spot you were going to be in.
What about the other argument? The faith holds you back from experiences.
Why would it?
And
Why do you think it would hold you back?
well, I mean, can you just do whatever you want and ask for forgiveness?
No.
You're good.
Because that's not how that works.
I mean, I'm not gonna go murder people, but like,
But in God's eyes, all sin is the same. Murder, sex are the same level. Morally, they're not, but in God's eyes, sin is sin.
so then you just can't do anything.
But that's not how that works. It's there's the difference
Like-
between doing something and then realizing you did. That's where like serial killers come in and they just do it because they enjoy doing it, and they don't care. If you did something, even if it's not right, like murder, you're not by humanity. If you murder someone, nobody's gonna forgive you for that per se. Like nobody's gonna let you off the hook for that. But if you truly repented after that, and in my opinion, it's about trying to change.
So
We
what
literally
I-
talked about that in the last one. If you're overweight and you're trying, then no, then that's not something to judge. It's when you complain about it and you don't try,
But like,
because nobody can be perfect.
say
about
I start
trying.
going to church and take on religion, but I need to repent for every sin I've ever done in my life.
That's not. No,
So then, how do you
You're-
get forgiven?
you work towards Christ. If you're walking towards that, maybe it's 5 steps forwards and 3 steps back. Like you're not gonna do perfect. Nobody's walk is perfect or the same.
Well, can't I just have faith and do whatever I want?
No, because that's not how faith works.
See,
Because when you start focusing on that, you don't want to do a lot of things. You realize it's not worth it. It's just not important to you.
oh yeah, sex isn't worth it.
I won't lie to you. It's not as good as it was before I started working on it.
We were made to procreate.
We were made to have a marriage.
No, we weren't.
Yes, we were.
Marriage is something we made up.
No, it's not.
Yes,
Marriage
it
is in the Bible and sacred.
Yeah, well.
The government's definition of marriage is something we made up that is a scam, where they have control just so they can tax you and changes your life because you're married. Marriage is a sacred thing by God. That's why He made women and man.
I'm just like not gonna stop having sex.
Okay, but that's also not what it's about. It's
I've
like
been with my girlfriend for 5 years.
I'm not saying it's bad that you do. I don't judge. I don't think like I did it. I can't judge about that.
You get what you have to do though.
You don't have to do anything. It's about walking. It's about dedicating your life to Him and working on it.
But eventually, you're expected to follow every rule.
No, because you can't. It's not possible. It's not possible to follow every. You cannot be perfect.
Yeah.
The only person who was ever perfect was Jesus Himself. He's the only person who never sinned.
Never sin.
Never once. And that's why He took everyone's sin on Himself. He was a perfect man who died for humanity so they could be forgiven by God. He took that burden on Himself too. And there's nothing untrue about that. All that's even proven outside of the Bible. Jesus was persecuted and hung on a cross and killed.
Yeah.
But
I don't know.
there's no like right way to do it. It's about working on it. And I don't think there's anything that you can have like a perfect way to do it. Like I can't tell you this is how you should do it. The only thing I can tell you is you read the Bible and you see things for yourself. And everybody interprets the Bible differently.
Yeah.
I could read a verse and you could read a verse and you could feel completely differently about it than I would. because that's the weird thing. The weird thing that confuses me about the Bible is if somehow every like all the stuff I read, I can somehow like relate that to something that's happening to me. That's what's weird about it.
Yeah, it's just so hard to grasp, you know.
It is, and that's where the faith comes in.
It's so much thrown in your face, and it's like you just either believe this or you don't.
But it's not about it. You believe in God, in His Word. That's all you have to believe in.
I don't not believe in.
If you work on having faith, and you don't throw yourself in like you don't start off with not doing or just doing everything possible. That's not like nobody just like you don't start off benching 315 pounds. You work up to that.
I could just go to church, pray a little bit, and keep doing what I'm doing.
But that's not how that works.
Why?
But one, you wouldn't want to. If you actually started working on that, you wouldn't want to do the things you're doing.
What things do I do that?
I don't know. I'm just saying that like you want to like you by default will start realizing things that either you do wrong or other people are doing like and you want to work even if you're in your eyes a good person, you'll want to just be better. That's why I think faith is such a good thing because it with even with just me it makes me want to do everything I can do in life. I don't want to go to heaven and I'm at the gates. That's why I have so many goals. Like I don't want to be at the gates of heaven and God and I'm looking at what he because I don't believe he can control you. He doesn't. He knows what he wants for you and that you can get there. But I also don't believe in like a destiny per se. Like I don't believe that like no matter what this is going to happen. You have to work for things. Because no matter what, you're going to get fat if you sit on the couch and eat all day. No matter what. No matter what, you're going to get more fit if you work on your diet and you work out. So I don't believe he can straight up like make things happen. I believe he knows what he wants, but he cannot control you.
Yeah.
And so I believe that he knows what he wants for me in my life and what he has planned for me. So I believe that's like to the point of where he knows what he has planned for you, but then if you don't work on it, then you don't reach that. So you have your potential, but you don't have to reach your potential.
And what, you just trust that everything you're doing is what you planned?
You trust that everything you're doing is no, I don't believe he has everything that you do planned. I believe he has what you like what's going to happen planned or what could happen.
Wouldn't he see everybody as successful because he would want everyone to
I don't believe some people aren't meant to be successful, but I believe everybody can be. I don't want to go up to heaven, be there and see what I was supposed to be and then see what I was. That's why I have so many goals. I want to do everything I can because I don't want to fall short of what I could have done.
What if you go up there and be like, you were supposed to be a bum?
Then I achieved more, and he would be proud of that, I would guess. I don't believe there's a cap on what people's potential.
Yeah.
I believe he wants the best for everybody, but he cannot control people, and he can't choose what you're going to do. So that's where the faith comes in. If you live your life by Christ and by the Bible, you will just, by default, start being a better person. You'll start doing better at excelling in everything. Whether that be money or athletics or just whatever it is.
Yeah. I don't know.
But I'm also not saying that's a need. Obviously, there's people who don't believe in anything. Which for the record, I don't believe in atheism. I don't believe it's possible to not believe in anything because your brain doesn't work like that. You can't not believe in anything. Someone has beliefs. Everyone has beliefs. You might not believe in God, but you can't believe in nothing. You can't believe there's nothing.
What? Just
you can tell yourself you do.
Just nothing besides.
I don't know. Atheism makes zero sense to me.
I mean, I thought atheism was just
not believing in a higher power.
Yeah.
But that doesn't make any sense.
Not believing that you go anywhere when you die.
But how does that work?
You die.
No, but how does it work when there not being a higher power? How did the Earth happen?
Oh, I don't
How
know
did
about
people
that.
happen? Like that doesn't make sense.
I mean, I that's a thing that's not possible because like even before the Big Bang, there was nothing. How was
It
there?
doesn't. Yeah, exactly. That doesn't make any
How
sense.
is there an explosion?
Exactly. That doesn't make any sense. And
Somebody made boom boom.
uh
I mean, like
literally, exactly.
somebody was
It
there.
doesn't make sense and
They
how that would
created a
work.
universe.
And whether that be God or see that's where I differ from most Christians anyways. I don't believe that Christianity is the right religion. Like I don't believe Christianity is the only way to go.
Yeah.
I believe it's the most it makes the most like I didn't think the Bible made any sense before I started reading it. And if you read it and actually like look into it, it makes so much sense. Everything that happens makes so much sense, and then it starts relating to everything in your life, and everything starts making sense. But like I also believe, as long as you believe in something, because almost all religions, they're sacred. Like they have so many. There's from across the world. Like Aztecs, they had a big flood in their religion. So how would they have the same thing in there if it was fake? If like religion in general was fake, how would they also have a flood? And then across the world where they had no clue that there were people past the sky view that they had.
Yeah.
They had no clue about that. They couldn't get past an ocean. They
That's
thought
true.
that was the end of the world.
Yeah.
That's all they had. So how did people from across the world where they had no contact, but like the same thing supposedly happened to them? Now the Bible makes the most sense because the Bible is a true like word of God. That's why I believe Christianity is well. I guess, so yeah, I guess you could say Christianity is the right religion or God is the right person to follow because a lot of the other religious texts don't make very much sense because like with like Aztecs and Egyptians because a lot of things just don't line up because they didn't know because those weren't like texts written by that's what the Bible is it's God's word so those are exact but like with Egyptian mythology they didn't know so they were making stuff up
Um,
like as it was happening they were just making stuff up and uh, as they believed it that's why there are so many gods like Zeus is the god of thunder because they believed oh, that's happening. There has to be someone controlling that rather
yeah.
than one person controlling it.
Yeah.
And I
That's true.
love mythology and reading into all that. And I used to think that made more sense, but then if you actually read the Bible, it makes way more sense not or
Yeah.
with less gods.
They still study Greek mythology in school.
And it's very interesting. I don't know if you've looked into
It
it.
is
I love
interesting.
Greek mythology and mythologies, and it all aligns fairly well with the Bible. Everything, and God also doesn't say there's not other gods. He says
Yeah.
He's the one God. He's the all powerful.
Yeah. There could be other ones,
Yeah, and that's he.
but he's the top dog.
I don't know where. Let me find that verse. So Exodus 20 verse 3 says, "You shall have no other gods before me," which states essentially that other gods may be worshipped by people, but he is the only one that should be worshipped exclusively, and you shouldn't worship
Yeah,
other
that
ones.
kind of says that there's
There,
other
yeah, and there's
gods.
other verses that show like the existence of them,
Yeah.
and like people have trashed Kanye West for his song saying "I am a god," but it says "I am a god," and other people can be a god.
Yeah.
I mean, not people, obviously, if you're a god,
Yeah.
but you're not the God. You're not the all powerful.
Yeah, you didn't say I'm the.
And that's another problem that I think the Bible helps you. I think it can help with addiction. It can help with all kinds of things because you stop worshiping, you stop idolizing other things over Him. You realize, no matter what, He's King. Jesus is King. So I think that can help with everything in life. Realizing you don't in the big span of things, you're a human and you are like you, you don't. It doesn't mean anything if you or other things. I mean, like worldly things don't matter because if you idolize that, that's where addiction comes from. Is oh, this is so important to me. This is whether that be with addictions or like relationships or just everything. If you idolize that, that's where things go wrong. Because if
Yeah.
you think that's the only thing in the world for you, that's the perfect thing for you. When in reality, only God is the perfect thing.
Hmm.
But like, with you saying about like the rules and stuff, I think faith is more about that's in my opinion it's more a personal thing than a set of rules. Like there's the Ten Commandments and there's rules you're supposed to follow, but not everyone can. Like even if you tried and work on it, you are not going to be able to follow everything. You're not supposed to eat pork.
Really?
Yeah, but pork's like you can't avoid pork really.
Pork's pretty good.
I actually don't like pork,
I love pork.
but like he in my life, he's transformed everything, and it makes and in my it gives me a sense of like peace, saying like knowing everything I'm doing has a purpose. Wouldn't you feel kind of crappy if you're like all your have goals or whatever, but it all means nothing at the end of the day?
Yeah.
At the end of the day, you're gonna die. Okay.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean anything. You're gonna die. Everyone dies.
Yeah, that sucks.
So wouldn't you rather your life mean something? You're doing something for a purpose.
Yeah. Everything I do is for a purpose.
But if you just die and everything ends, then what makes it for a purpose? If you just die and nothing's there. That's kind of a boring life.
Purpose is to have a good life while you can.
But that's not like a purpose though. It's not dedicating it to something.
Yeah.
But if you follow God and have that as what are you doing on your phone?
This guy's texting me about a possible sponsor.
Like us sponsoring him?
Yeah.
Answer him later. We're on a podcast. Save it and say we're on a podcast right now. We're on a podcast right now. We'll text you later. Or I'll read this in a bit.
Hold up. I'm on a podcast right now. I'll let you know later.
Because I think you gotta, like, I think you find your purpose and your meaning, the true meaning of your life specifically through belief and faith. Because you can dedicate everything you do to Him above, and you're working towards something rather than just a worldly goal, money. But whenever you dedicate it to something, one that gives you more reason to be disciplined, that gives you more reason to follow through on that goal. Just in general,
Yeah.
it can make things better. And that goes to one of my points that I have written down here. I do not think there's can you give me a single downside of having faith? Full faith, believing it with your whole heart, and doing everything in the name of God. What's the downside to that?
The things that hold you back from.
What does it hold you back from?
If you hardcore believe in it, then you're following what the Bible says, so you're not doing certain things.
Like what?
Like the sex before marriage.
What's the downside of that other than it feels good? Alcohol's not banned in the Bible. It's banned in the
wine.
Quran.
Oh.
Islam, that's a rule.
So I can still get fucked up.
There's nothing wrong with doing things you enjoy. But I'm telling you, you won't enjoy it as much, and you might think that's a bad thing now. But you're not gonna enjoy it as much when you start believing, and then you're not gonna want to do it as much.
See, that's never gonna happen.
It will. I promise you. I promise you.
Okay, I will fucking full on do everything and still tell you that it's boring and I don't want to do it.
But the concept of faith isn't boring.
It is though.
How?
It's extremely boring.
How?
It's like school. You know how
No.
school's a prison where people just tell you what to do all the time and you're forced.
That's not what the Bible
You're
is.
forced to follow stupid
That's
rules.
not what the Bible is. What's stupid about any of these rules?
What's not stupid?
What is?
No sex before marriage, so you're not supposed to explore what you're purchasing.
Purchasing?
You're stuck with this woman for the rest of your life, and you're telling me that you're not going to have sex with her until after you're married, and then you can't get divorced because your religion?
First of all, sex isn't different with everyone. But
it is for you, clearly.
What do you mean?
It is for you, clearly, because you talk about it.
It feels the same with everyone.
No, I just mean, like, You practice it.
Okay, what do you mean I practice it?
Until you got married.
Yeah,
That's insane to me.
but I'm saying it's not gonna be as important to you once you follow it.
But
Before, I never went to church. I never followed any of this. I thought it was kind of dumb. I always believed, I always believed there was a God, but I thought the rules were kind of stupid.
I don't necessarily believe there's not a God. I just don't want to follow rules.
But that's that would be the.
Nothing's going to change that, though. I can read everything. I could agree with it all, and I'm not going to follow those rules.
Okay, but it's not about following rules. That's what I've been trying to tell you. It's not like you follow this rule. You don't follow this rule, you're bad. I'm not going to hell because I've had sex before.
That's not what I'm talking about, though. You're talking as if you're always working towards them. I won't be, though. Like,
But-
if I'm going to do that,
but-
I'm not going to work towards.
But I
following
wasn't
something
either
that I
until
don't
this started happening. I'm telling you, once you start, it's gonna be a snowball effect.
It's never going to.
But
be
you
that
don't
way.
know that until you do it.
I do know.
I promise you, give me a month. Give me these next couple of months, and just do some of these things. Not even as extreme as I do them. I'm not even telling you to break your habits yet, or like stop doing like sex or
I
whatever.
don't think I physically can.
I'm not saying do that. And that's not what I'm telling you to follow right now. The only reason I'm doing that, and I'm not saying in order to be Christian you can't have sex.
Well, yeah, I know.
But just
You're always
with me, it
working
doesn't.
towards
It's
it.
not as important as me. To me, I mean,
It's very important.
it's and that's I'm very lustful. I have a lot. That's how I am, and that's like. But before, I knew sex was wrong, but I still did it, and I'm not getting.
There's nothing wrong about it,
In the Bible, it's wrong before marriage,
but it's not.
but it is, and I'm not saying it's bad because that sex is meant to happen, but that's the most irrelevant rule right now. That,
I just can't get off of it.
but. But that's not I'm not trying to say any of that. I'm not telling you're not bound to a set of rules. The whole point of this is it makes your life better. That's why I believe you can't deny it being real, because just the belief in itself, millions and millions and millions of people believe in it. Just that belief makes millions and millions and millions of people better people, which by default makes it real in some way.
Okay, so the translation issue. The original Bible was written in Hebrew.
And that's a big problem. There's so many versions.
How
of the
can you
Bible.
ever understand
You can't.
what?
You will never know.
So why
Now
should
there's
I,
a few versions that are translated directly, or I don't know which version it is.
why should I follow something that I can't read the original version?
The basis of it is the same
How do I know that?
because it's the direct word of God. Like no matter how you translate it, because all these versions of the Bible, they have different verses, but they mean the same thing.
Yeah, but how does anyone know what it said?
Because they all mean the same thing. They just said differently.
Okay.
It's just how you translate it. It's
But
not
everything-
translated wrong.
Everything else is based off of a language that can't be translated.
No. It can be. Hebrew can be translated, but it can be translated in different ways. Like Chinese, there's a billion different ways to
Yeah.
say one thing.
Yeah. So how do
So
you
it all
know,
saying the same thing. It's
how do you
just
know which one's being said?
because it means they're all the same basis of what's going on.
But they're all based off the same one thing.
Yeah, but they all mean the same thing.
Oh, you're saying all,
Every verse and
all
every
versions of the word mean the same thing.
yeah, there could be a verse that sounds different in one Bible, or sounds different than another Bible, another version of the Bible. But if you look at the verse at its face value, it looks different, but it means the same. Like the meaning of it's the same.
Oh, that makes sense.
But there's also been study there. I don't know what his name was. There was a documentary, a docuseries this guy did on trying to prove the Bible, and they found out that there was probably some mistranslation in the Bible of the splitting the Red Sea when the Egyptians were following and he split the Red Sea to walk through it, and then it closed in on the Egyptians. and like killed them supposedly.
Yeah.
But it said the Red Sea, which is a massive ocean, like sea. Um, but if you really like dig deep into the history behind it, they found out it probably, and it's still not proven, but it probably meant the Reed Sea, which is what they called in the Egyptian times the Nile Delta, which is not near as big or deep, and there are other historical writings from 100 years ago, 200 years ago, of there being big gusts of wind that completely dry out the Nile Delta, and then the water comes back in a little bit.
Huh.
So if you look at it that way, maybe not the Reed Sea, but it still kind of has the same meaning as God sent the wind or whatever, allowed the water to dissipate, and then it came back.
Yeah.
So it was still, and if you actually look into the route where they were going, it makes no sense for him to have gone all the way down to the Red Sea and then back up when the Nile Delta was a straight shot. So like there's some things that were mistranslated, but it all means the same thing. Like it's all the same moral value. Because I think even if you don't want to believe the Bible at face value, the whole meaning and morals behind the Bible are good. They make you a better person no matter what.
Yeah.
You could pick one thing from the Bible to follow, one rule, and follow it, and you will become a better person no matter what.
That makes sense.
So and I think just the impact of it, just like making you a better person, just also helps with your well-being in general. Like praying, like we were in the last podcast, we talked about the psychologists and therapists, like going to talk to them and feeling better. Just praying, that gives you a higher power. Just the belief, even let's say it's not true and he's not listening to you. Just the belief of someone's there listening to you no matter what. Whatever you're saying, doesn't matter what it is.
A little bit of
gives you hope,
comfort.
Yeah. And being able to know, okay, I'm talking, someone's listening. Because maybe that's your problem. Maybe you don't think anybody in your family's listening or cares. But just that belief of knowing or believing he cares and he's there will give you comfort. And I truly believe there's been lots of instances in my life personally that like prayers have been answered. They might not have been answered how I wanted them to be answered, or like exactly in the way I thought they'd be answered, but they worked out. Like this business stuff with Limitless. This is not at all how I planned on all this to work out, but it worked out.
Yeah.
It's working out.
Yeah, that's true.
But it's not at all how I planned it to, or how I wanted it to.
Yeah.
But all did, and it's all continuing to work out.
Yeah, no, you didn't want me here.
You and I hadn't talked. Explain that. Okay, explain that if things aren't meant to happen and there's not plans. You and I hadn't talked in over 2 years. How did that just randomly happen?
Because we were trying to get Kobe back.
Yes, but how did that just randomly happen that you and I clicked on this idea? And then it just started working out magically.
I don't know, because I see an opportunity and I seize it.
And the opportunity was put there by a higher power.
By you?
By an unknown, because I would not have asked you before. Like, things happen, and it's weird.
Yeah.
Because things have to, for every single thing in your life to happen, doesn't matter if it's good or bad, everything has to line up perfectly for that to happen.
That's true. If Kobe had to come back, been normal, I probably would have just hung out with him again.
Exactly.
And nothing would have happened.
If Kobe would have never went to the military,
yeah,
all that stuff would have happened.
Yeah.
If Kobe would have came...
Gym Bros probably would be huge right now.
Yeah, there's all kinds of things that happen, and they have to happen perfectly in order for that outcome to have happened.
Me and Kobe probably would have been rich by now. But
And another thing I have written down is just the moral framework, like I said, provided by you having faith. The Bible just gives you a good foundation. Even if you don't follow it word for word, it gives you a good foundation of live your life this way. And I promise, if every person on this planet followed the Bible, no problems would happen. There would be the problems because the problems in the Bible that happen come from, just like the Constitution, it is a piece of art, and it's a perfect piece of writing. The Constitution.
yeah.
If the government was ran exactly how the Constitution says it would, the government would run perfectly. But it doesn't, and that's where things go wrong. So it's when people sin, and I'm not saying that people are like should, because sinning happens. That's how it works. It's how people are made.
Yeah.
But if you follow these, like the Bible, if everyone followed it exactly, nothing would go wrong. If you just take it for moral value, like exactly the rules, so many things would be canceled out, like not happen. So that like just adds a good moral framework of how to live your life. You're not meant to live it perfectly. You're not meant to do, and you can have vices like you're not supposed to take drugs. Caffeine's a drug.
Well,
I run on caffeine. I like addictions and things like that. Like obviously that's not meant like good, but it happens, and that's what like, and just there's no perfect way to. I mean, there is a perfect way to live. Jesus did it, but humans don't have the capacity to do that.
Other humans make it impossible.
Yeah, people are inherently evil, no matter what. And I just think, in the end, there's so much peace through finding it and being able to just give everything up and give your decisions. And even non-religious people meditate. That just helps you clear your mind and know kind of, okay, I'm going to make this decision because I've thought it out. If you pray about something, go to sleep, you will wake up, and regardless if you want to believe it was God or not, he will put the right thought into your head of what you should do. That has happened to me multiple times over the past week of what I should do, and then the next morning I have a good idea, or I know what I want to go. And
that's solid.
And it just helps. I promise, I genuinely want you to do it just for like a month or two. You're doing all the other stuff with me. Just pick up some stuff with me, and I promise it'll change your life. It's weird at first. I am just now recently finding all this stuff, and it's changed my life drastically in the last month. And I believed for a long time. No, I won't even say I believed in a long time. There was one specific time that really led me to believe, and I don't really want to rat the person out, but I just told you about that with the whole thing about me praying, and then that exact it happened.
Oh yeah.
And that's when I really started believing, and I still didn't follow it or read the Bible or do anything. And I'll tell you, the Bible is just an interesting book. Like, it's just a good read. I am enjoying reading it. It's a long book, and like there's not a single problem that you'll have that you can't find and relate to in the Bible. Nothing. Not a single feeling, emotion, problem that hasn't already happened. So even if the Bible weren't exactly true, it still gives you a good just framework of how to deal with problems. And just giving it up to God and giving your decisions up to God help just drastically with finding peace in everything and being able to know that you're doing it for a good reason.
Yeah.
You're doing everything you're doing, and it's gonna matter. Because you can have as much money as you want, but once you die, if there weren't a heaven, once you die, you're dead, and it doesn't matter. Nothing you did before your life mattered. But if there's something to live for afterwards,
I get that. I mean, I definitely want there to be.
but that's like, so that goes back to a thing of you can't expect things or want things without putting work in for them. You can't expect to be jacked and not work out.
Well, yeah, I don't expect it. I just hope it's there.
But wouldn't you prefer to?
Isn't that all faith really is? You just really hoping that it's there.
Faith is hope, yeah.
Yeah.
But
I mean, I hope it's there.
But faith, you work towards it though. You want to be muscular, but you have to work towards it. Like, so wouldn't you want to give a dedication to something and just walk towards it, being able to be like, okay, I'm doing this for this reason, and that just helps with motivation. That helps with staying disciplined, knowing you're doing it for a good reason. Just walking in those steps, even if they're small steps.
I mean,
Because hope doesn't matter if you don't work towards it. You can hope to be jacked and not be jacked. You can hope to be rich but not be.
yeah, that's
You can
true.
have full faith that you're going to be rich, and if you sit and
So it just kind of lands in everything else that you just have to work for it.
I believe fully with my whole heart that doesn't matter what you believe in, you will not get anywhere without work.
So on top of all the other things I work for, I have to work for that too.
You don't have to work for that's the thing. You don't have to work for God's love. It's there unconditionally. You work to live a good life. That's what that is about to me. Is you work to live for a purpose. You don't have to work to impress God.
Yeah.
But if you want something, you have to work for it, and if you dedicate it to something, you'll be able to work for it a lot easier. If you wanted something and then there was no reason in your mind, if you couldn't justify wanting it, then why would you want to, like, what would motivate you to work for it?
That's true.
Give me 1 month and I swear it will change your life completely. Not even changing, you don't have to change anything. Just add things into your life.
That's fine. I can do that.
And I promise it'll work. I'm like, and I'm a very skeptical person about everything, I didn't even have someone do this like tell me to change. It found its way into my life and it's changed everything. And this Sunday I'm actually doing a prayer at my church. I'm leading a prayer and I'm really nervous.
You're leading one?
I'm leading one in front of everybody.
I don't think I could do that.
Ever. I'm really nervous.
I don't think I could ever do that. I would freak out.
But the moral of the story is everyone has free will and God gave everyone free will, so he cannot control anybody. So there's good and evil. You can choose to be good and you can choose to follow and dedicate your life to him, or you can choose to be bad and you will have the consequences of that. Yeah. Everything has its consequences, and I think that's another thing. People try to use the excuse of like God wanted this to happen, so it's fine. Because he made me want to do it. That's not. I don't believe that's how it works. I believe you can pray for something and it will give you guidance, but he can't make you do anything, and he doesn't control what will happen. He knows what will happen, but he doesn't control what will happen because your outcome depends on what you do. So he can know.
So
okay,
how can he know what's gonna happen?
Because what you do.
And he knows what you're gonna do.
He knows what you're gonna choose.
Oh.
And there's probably a lot of things here that someone a lot more faithful than me would disagree, and a lot farther along in their journey would disagree. But just in my opinion, just the basis of it, it makes me a better person, and it makes me have a purpose to work for.
Yeah.
Because I know everything will work out, especially the things that I've been struggling with lately. I know it will all work out if I continue to follow him, and I know it will work out even if it's not the way I want it to. Because just following him makes it to where you are putting your faith in him, so then you will have it. It makes you stronger, it makes you more confident, it makes it to where I'm praying about everything I do, and then the decision I end up making is based on that, which is God's will and what he wants me to do. Because he can want me to do certain things but he can't make me. But when I pray about it, I feel how I do. And this last week, I've probably messed up a bunch, and just in the last 24 hours, I probably have made decisions that he probably didn't want me to make. But
yeah,
but that's just how it works, and it just makes me a better person trying to change. And like this, going back to the sex thing, because that was a huge talk. I'm not saying sex sucks, because sex is phenomenal, but it's just something I'm willing to give up, and it doesn't matter if you're not willing to give it up. Just like I'm not willing to give up caffeine. I run on caffeine. That makes me run better and work better, and I'm able to do a lot more things. It's just there's vices for people, and I'm like, that's something I'm willing to give up in order to make that relationship stronger. But like something that would kill me to give up, like working out, I don't think I could do that.
No.
Now, maybe I would change if that were something he wanted. Maybe my opinion on that would change if he brought me to the conclusion of I shouldn't. But he's not going to, because I'm also a firm believer that not working out and not taking care of yourself is directly against the Bible.
Well, I mean, your health is always number one.
Your body is a
It
temple,
should
and
be.
you need to worship it as
Yeah.
so. Your health matters. Like, it's insane how because I think, yeah, your health is taking care of yourself is directly in the Bible, and neglecting your health is directly against the Bible, and I believe goes against a lot of it, because you're supposed to worship, you're supposed to take care of yourself, you're
Yeah.
supposed to be healthy, but a lot of people aren't. And again, there's lots of very faithful people who aren't healthy, and that's a vice. Like, that's like one of the that doesn't make them not going to heaven. But I believe that everybody should strive as much as they possibly can to work for it. Bless you.
Yeah.
So, with that being said, are you willing to give this a try?
Yeah, for a little while.
More
If it's
in-
good, I'll keep going.
You'll get more intrigued, and you'll start feeling better, and
Yeah,
just in general.
that's fine.
But that'll be it, everybody. Thanks for watching. Speed Podcast episode 1. We filmed one earlier, but I'm gonna post that later, because that's a crazy one. That's gonna take a little bit to edit.
Yeah.
But I hope you guys enjoyed. Leave comments down below. I want to try to do these like once a week,
That's fine.
or like 1 or 2 a week. Hope everybody enjoyed. Be limitless.